Thank you for being here. This is our 37th annual meeting of the Intertribal Agriculture Council. I've been coming here so long that my voice has changed. I used to have a loud voice when I was here as a kid. Now it's getting weaker as I get older, and well, I'm still here though. But it's an honor and a privilege to be here with all of you. It's good to see so many old friends and new young friends. The crowd, I think, is getting bigger as I get older, but it's good to be here, and I'm proud and happy to be here. It's a real privilege to be here, and it's good to be alive and still here. I'll tell you that. As you know, my name is Harlan Beaulieu. I'm the president of the Intertribal Agriculture Council. I've been in this position for a number of years. It's been an honor that the board has elected me to this position. I never expected to achieve this position. I came here as a young man, kind of a young screwball, thinking my tribe elected me to come here and serve in this position, but I didn't think I'd ever receive the national honor of being the president of this national organization, but I somehow got lucky over the years and was able to accomplish this honor. But here I am today, serving as the president. I myself have been a cow-calf producer for the past 35 years. I have served on my tribal council 8 years as a tribal representative. I have served as a tribal realty person for 38 years. I've been a minority advisor for the state of Minnesota 8 years. I had the privilege of honor of serving on the Intertribal Agriculture Council since its beginning for 37 years. And so it's been a learning experience the entire time I've been with the Intertribal Agriculture Council. I've been able to travel from one end of the United States to both ends of the country. This past summer, I was able to travel to Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada to meet with some of the Canadian tribes, along with the Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota and the U.S. Ambassador. We were able to meet with many of the Canadian tribes and talk with issues of agriculture. So, we were able to understand some of the issues that impact them with agriculture. We've been able to understand some of the priorities of the tribes of both here in the United States and Canada. And I serve with an exceptional team here on the Intertribal Agriculture Council. And, I'm going to also introduce my board. I don't know if they're going to come out as I introduce them, but I'm going to introduce, I don't know if they're coming out now as I introduce them, but I've served a long time with Joe Frank from the Eastern region. Joe Frank is from the Seminole tribe of Florida. And here he comes. And maybe he can raise his hand, or Joe. Theo Garcia, Alaska region. Theo. Joe's Kinnick tribe. Charlene Miller, Great Plains region. Assistant Wahpeton Sioux tribe. Craig Ironpipe, Rocky Mountain region, Blackfeet tribe. Ray Castillo, Dene Navajo region. Mal Tafoya, Southwest region, Pueblo, Santa Clara. Arlo Crutcher, Northwest region, Fort McDermott, Paiute Shoshone tribe. Zachary Ivory, Youth at Large, Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma. And I would also like to introduce our remaining board members who were unable to attend. Trenton Kesey. Trenton had an unfortunate accident just before he came to the conference. He was playing hockey and his son injured him. So he took his knee out on him, trying to play a young man's sport, and son showed him some moves and he got hurt. I was giving him a little bit of grief about that. And so telling him that was a young man's sport and he shouldn't be doing that anymore. Tonya Turnpow, she was also had some medical issues and she couldn't make it. She is from the Citizen Potawatomi Nation, Southern Plains region. Jamie Moore, Western region, Colorado River Indian tribes. And finally, Dr. Rosalind Luella. She's from the Pacific region, Tulu River Indian tribes of California. A little bit about ourselves. The IAC is the Indian-led nonprofit formed by almost 90 tribal nations in 1987 to pursue and promote the conservation, development, and use of agricultural resources for the betterment of Native people. Our annual conference is essential to operation of this organization. The regional caucus meetings and annual membership meetings scheduled for this week play a critical role in the shaping of our strategies and priorities for the year ahead. We wouldn't be able to work without you and as our partners for like the USDA, NRCS, and many more who support our mission to enable us to focus on the needs of individual tribal producers while increasing economic growth in our communities. We are deeply honored to serve Native agriculturalists to amplify their voices on both a national and international level. On the behalf of Indian agriculture, I want to welcome you to annual conference and extend our heartfelt gratitude to each of you and your families for your interest and commitment to the well-being of American Indians and Alaska Native communities. Thank you. And I wrote a little bit of my own stuff here, and I usually tell all of you a little bit of our story. You know, we are America's first farmers, and I tell this story for the benefit of our youth that, you know, our story's not told in history books or anything like that. Our story is not told a lot by anyone, you know, that we are America's first farmers. We were farming this land long before old Chris Columbus landed these shores. You know, there was 100 million of us here in the Americas, and we fed ourselves. You know, we didn't need anybody here to take care of us, and we had our own trade routes and trails and waterways. We traded with each other and did what we pleased and went where we wanted and did what we wanted. So, you know, we had established farmlands and such, and so we were self-caring for ourselves, and this land was developed long before the coming of the pilgrims and the pioneers and the settlers and such like that. So we had our own sources of food and took care of ourselves, you know, and so that there's a misunderstanding of who we were and what we were. You know, we were farmers long before anyone discovered us. You know, we weren't discovered. We were here already and doing what we wanted. And so, you know, I want to mention that as part of our story. And we were farmers and good farmers and able to take care of ourselves. You know, over 55% of all food eaten in the world today was first produced by us people. It wasn't, you know, we had foods that nobody else in the world was eating. We were eating it already before they ever got here. So we're pretty proud of that fact. You know, we had the corns, the beans, the squashes, and we even had the chocolate. You know, the world would be a pretty dull place if it didn't have chocolate, you know. You know, so that's pretty important fact, you know. And so, you know, I just want to mention some of those facts, you know, and you know, some of these trails that, you know, became the important, some of the trails that we used long before the coming of the pioneers and the pilgrims, or whatever they call themselves, you know, we use these routes, you know, even Route 66, which came all the way from Chicago to the West Coast, you know, we had that route established long before, you know, the Cumberland Trail, the trails that go from the south to the north. You know, we had these trails that were already in place. We used them. We followed the buffalo trails and all of the animals that helped us establish trails in each direction across the land. We had trails between North and South America. We had routes all over this country, between the Americas and such like that. So we had things under control in every direction across the land, you know. So we got to be proud of ourselves and understand that we were in control. And so I want to make those facts. I always tried to let that be known, you know, and you know, they portray us as the heathen devil and the savages, you know, and the fights that took place from the beginning of them landing on our shores. You know, they were taking our farmlands from us, and that's what the fights are about. You know, they were taking our farmlands from us, you know, and that's when the fighting began. You know, we were fighting over our farmlands as they took them from us. And, you know, America talks about the long wars they had, you know, like Vietnam was 15 years or something like that, and the Gulf Wars were 20 years, while the War of Colonization lasted 250 years. That's how long we fought for America. 250 years. That's what the War of Colonization lasted. You know, that's a damn long war. You know, that's how long we fought for this land. You know, that is never mentioned in any history book, how long that fight took. You know, so we fought a good war. We fought a good battle. We gave them a fight. You know, so that's something to be proud of. You know, we put up a good fight. So, you know, there was 100 million of us at one time, you know, Our numbers went down to less than 1 million. You know, you talk about the genocide of Israel. They lost 6 million. To reduce our numbers from 100 million to down to less than 1 million, there's genocide. So that's history. There's real history. That's telling the facts as they are. So those stories I never told. You know, like the wiping out of our buffalo, that was our livestock. General Sherman and General Sheridan, they had a scorched earth policy where they annihilated the buffalo herds of this country. That was part of their scorched earth policy. After the Civil War, they fought the South. They had a scorched earth policy there where they wiped out the crops of the Confederacy. Well, after they fought the Confederacy when they marched across Georgia and such and wiped out the crops of the South, then they fought the Plains Indians and they fought them by wiping out the buffalo herds. They did the same thing there. It was wiping out the crops of the Plains Indians by killing off the buffalo herds. And by killing off our crops, our croplands. It was the same thing. It was the same warfare fought there. So, you know, this is a little bit of our history. I want to talk about that. And, you know, I also want to mention that throughout this time, we owe our survival for this 250 years to our ladies, you know, because to fight a war for 250 years, we owe our survival during that time to our ladies, because to survive 250 years, we owe that survival during that time to our women, to our mothers, our grandmothers, to our wives, to our sisters. They fed us all through this time period. Without our wives, our sisters, our mothers, our grandmas, someone had to feed us during this time. So our survival depended on those women, to the women of our families who continue to help us survive today in our farming communities. We continue to need their help to help us survive today as farmers. So they are the real farm her. You know, this is a big thank you to all the ladies of our farming communities, you know, and I, as we grew up as boys, I was thinking, you know, we grew up as strong men, but the fact that we grew up as strong men, Dad, Grandpa, they were off earning money for the family, but they had to go out and work in construction or work for the family. But we had family business too. You know, we grew up as commercial fishermen, and we learned to harvest wild rice, to harvest the maple syrup, and do these family businesses and such like that. Well, we learned them from grandma, great-grandma, from mom. And we learned these family businesses from our mother, from our grandma, from our great-grandma. That was their businesses. They taught us how to do this stuff because Dad and Grandpa, they had to go out and earn money elsewhere. So we learned the family businesses from our mothers and our grandmas. And, you know, we weren't pampered boys. We had to learn how to do this stuff. We weren't kissed and pampered if things went wrong. You know, we had to do things right and get it done, or you got a bat upside the head, or got things done, or you didn't. You had to get it done right. And so, you know, we weren't little mama's boys that didn't didn't, if you didn't do things right, you had to get it done, or you learned how to do it right, that's for sure. And so, most of us Indian boys understood that, so that's just the way it was in our world, So we learned how to do all of this stuff, but most of the time we learned it from Mama. And so that's just the way it was in our life. And we learned how to do stuff, and we learned how to do it right. And there was the same way in cattle operations and such. And so a lot of times, even in modern times today, Dad will be off working other jobs, but you learn how to be a cattleman or whatever, and you learn the cattle operation more times than not from Mama, who is out there teaching you how to be that cattleman you will become. So with that, I'm going to end, but I want to thank the ladies for who they are and what we become. Thank you.